I will call this meeting to order, and I welcome each of you being here. Happy New Year. It's been a long time since we've seen you, since November, so faces have changed, and hopefully everybody's stayed well, and we welcome you to the board meeting. So I call the meeting to order of the Pasadena Independent School District Board of Trustees in regular session on Tuesday, January 25th, 2022, in the boardroom of the Administration Building, 1515 Cherrybrook, Pasadena, Texas, at 5:30 p.m. Board members present: Ms. Vicki Morgan, Mr. Kenny Fernandez, well, he's on his way, Ms. Nelda Sullivan, Ms. Crystal Davila, Ms. Paola Gonzalez Fusilier, Mr. Casey Phelan, and Marshall Kendrick is absent, and he is not feeling well. Let the record indicate that a quorum of board members is present, that this meeting is duly called, and that notice of this meeting was posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. The invocation tonight will be given by Ms. Sullivan, and the pledges by Mr. Phelan. Will you stand, please?
Would you bow with me as we pray? Our most gracious Heavenly Father, we thank Thee for the many, many blessings that You've bestowed upon us. We thank You for a great school district and the people that we have who make it a great school district. We ask that You would be with us as we go and undertake the business of the district. May we always do things that are within Thy will. We pray especially tonight, Your Honor, for the men and women who serve our country. The world stage is not a good thing right now, and we ask that You would be with those leaders, touch their hearts, let them know that You, as the great Creator, are in charge of everything. We ask that You would be with those in our local area. Give them strength and courage. Keep us ever in the center of Thy will. Forgive us where we fail Thee. These things we ask in Thy name. Amen.
Amen.
Join me in the pledge to the American flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Join me in the Texas flag.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to Thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
The board is going to adjourn to closed session pursuant to Texas Government Code Sections 551.074 for the purpose of considering the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer or employee, or to hear complaints or charges against a public officer or employee concerning matters related to the superintendent's recommendations, to hire administrative personnel, and/or superintendent's recommendation related to renewals, non-renewals, and terminations of contract for professional personnel. 551.074 for the purpose of considering matters related to the superintendent's evaluation, superintendent's contract, and related actions. 551.071 to consult with district's attorneys concerning matters on which the attorney's duty to the district under the Code of Professional Responsibility clearly conflicts with the Texas Open Meetings Act, to seek the advice of its attorney about pending or contemplated litigation or a settlement offer, and to consider legal advice regarding items specifically listed on the agenda. 551.072 for the purpose of discussing the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property. 551.071 and 551.074 for the purpose of consulting with the district's attorneys concerning and considering matters related to the superintendent's recommendation to propose the termination of the 2021-2022 term contract between Pasadena ISD and Christina Fell, teacher at May Smith Elementary. Suspend Ms. Fell without pay pending discharge and related actions. We'll reconvene in open session at 7 p.m. So I call this meeting back to order, and it is 7:15 p.m. We have first on the agenda is special recognition.
Well, it is my honor this evening to talk about our board, because it's Board Appreciation Month. That's what January is. So tonight we join districts across the state in honoring members of the Pasadena ISD Board of Trustees, which we believe, or I believe personally, is the best school board in the state of Texas. So join me in watching a short video from our most important stakeholders, which are our students.
Breakfast is ready, award-winning departments holding PISD steady. We're all in, we're all heart, student-focused right from the start. We're Pasadena ISD, no place I'd rather be. Making memories, building dreams, and only getting better. Pasadena ISD, many hearts, one beat. Many hearts, one beat. From pre-kindergarten all the way to 12th grade, getting ready for life's grand stage. Different schools, but we're on the same team. The best students you'll ever meet. We're Pasadena ISD, no place I'd rather be. Making memories, building dreams, and only getting better. Pasadena ISD, many hearts, one beat. Many hearts, one beat. We're Pasadena ISD, no place I'd rather be. Making memories, building dreams, and only getting better.
Thank you, PISD board members, for rising above. Thank you!
Thank you for supporting our opportunities and educational needs.
Thank you for showing up to our game performances and special ceremonies, letting us know that you're part of our community.
Thank you for implementing bonuses for our teachers for all the hard work they do for us.
Thank you for making a pay increase in substitutes so that we always have classroom support.
Thank you for improving our school's funding for our school day team, which helps us focus on our work.
Thank you for approving our trip to Washington, D.C. I'm so excited to go.
Thank you for helping ambitious teachers make their classroom visions come to life through generous local partnerships.
Thank you for being a part of the good things that happen around our community.
So collectively, our board members have accumulated over 100 years serving the school district as trustees. The longevity and commitment to our students, our staff, and our community is cause for celebration tonight and every day. We are truly blessed to have board members that continue to care about the needs of all students across our district and staff, and our board has consistently supported innovative programs, which many of you are aware of, which provide the best education for a diverse group of students. The board's unwavering dedication to provide exceptional opportunities and cater to the whole student has led to a long list of achievements at the campus and district level, including, most recently, our district being named a 2022 finalist for the HEB Award of Excellence for Large Districts, which is a huge honor and certainly another reason to celebrate. This board has a reputation for being a board who does what's right for kids and serving on behalf of the children of Pasadena ISD, and the reward for them is the satisfaction of knowing they've provided the best education for all students. They get paid $0 and 0 cents for their service and hard work. I see them spend many hours not only listening to me, but also reviewing board books, going over policy, approving and asking questions about budgets in the good years and the bad years, because we've had some good budget years and bad budget years, and always looking for ways to improve our district. They definitely support me. All of these board members do, and I want to say thank you to that. And not only that, but for attending the thousands of events for kids, because it makes a difference, and the teachers who put the hours and hours into making those events possible. Our community loves you and appreciates you, and I know I love you and appreciate you too. And on behalf of the students, staff, and community members, I want to say a heartfelt thank you for rising above. That's the TASB theme, if you haven't noticed from our banner, and pushing us to always give our best for the children in PISD. So join me in congratulating the Board of Trustees on another outstanding year in serving our students here in the district. And I'm not the only one that's going to speak tonight, because Raul Camarillo Jr. is here. He's the Pasadena Community Liaison with Commissioner Adrian Garcia's office, and he's here tonight to present some special words of appreciation as well as certificates with our Board of Trustees.
Yes, good evening. Man, y'all made it difficult for me with that great video of all those beautiful children for our school district. Good evening, Dr. Powell and esteemed school board members. I am a community liaison I'm a team member of the Community Relations Department for Commissioner Adrian Garcia's office. This is my first year. I've completed 1 year, and I just wanted to share something I shared with the board online last year, and just for the new board members, that the reason I moved to Pasadena was because of the school district back in 2000. And yes, and also my 3 children all graduated from Pasadena high schools. My oldest from South Houston High School, my middle child from Pasadena Memorial, and my youngest from Sam Rayburn High School. So you can imagine whenever it's homecoming, how things get in my house. In front of you, you'll find an envelope that contains a certificate appreciation and a letter from Commissioner Adrian Garcia for recognizing, celebrating the School Board Recognition Month. And also wanted to read a couple of messages that he gave me. Commissioner Adrian Garcia is honored to celebrate the board trustees for their dedication and commitment to district schools and students. With school boards in the news for more than ever, School Board Recognition Month this January shouldn't just be business as usual. Okay, so he does really appreciate the work that you do and the partnerships that you have done with Commissioner Adrian Garcia's office and him, particularly supporting the school district. As a school board member, you are committed to children and believe that all children can be successful learners and that the best education is tailored to the individual needs of the child. You work closely with parents and educational professionals and other community members to create the educational vision we want for our students. For all these essential roles, Commissioner Adrian Garcia urges all citizens to join him in recognizing the dedication and hard work of these Pasadena School Board members. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So board members, we have lots of great things happening from one corner of the district to the other, but that is all we have for tonight to share with you.
Thank you very much.
Well, I want to take this time to thank everybody that put this together, all of the staff and the students who have come together. I think I can speak for everyone on board when we say that if it means something to that one student or that one teacher or that one parent, it means something to us. And this is why we do what we do. And the payment is so many times over for seeing the smiling faces or seeing the kids on here. It just means so much to us. So we want to thank you guys. I have a big lump in my throat just watching that and hearing all the things that I've heard. So thank you all very much.
Thank you, Kenny. I think that we all feel the exact same way. It's an honor and a privilege to serve. If anybody had told me 36 years ago this month I was elected, and I never thought that I'd make it through one term. And here I am, and I'm still going, and I still intend to go because I love kids. And so anyway, thank you for the support. Thank you for the honor. Thank you for being you and doing what you do for kids every single day.
I didn't know you can be a board member at 10, but congratulations.
Yeah, I was 10. Okay, we're going to move. We have no special public comments according to the agenda portion. So let's move to the consent agenda. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Sullivan, seconded by Mr. Fernandez. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Moving to the personnel section. Consideration and possible approval of administrative personnel. We have one, and I've asked Mr. Phelan if he will make that motion. The pink page.
Yeah, I knew that. I'm just testing you. Madam Secretary, or Vice President, I'll get it out in a second. I got a lot of things going on here. It's Addenda A. I'd like to introduce Dr. Tommy.
No, wait a minute. You make the motion.
Make a motion on Addenda A. It's my first time.
Now you can name the name.
I love it, Casey. You got this, Casey.
And Diane's not here to make fun of me, so.
I second that motion.
And now I can introduce him.
As soon as we vote.
Okay, I'm waiting. Waiting on y'all.
All in favor of administrative personnel, addenda, page A, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. And now, Mr. Phelan, you may introduce.
Dr. Lee, are you here? Dr. Lee, there he is. Excellent. The recommendation is for the Director of Advanced Academics for the remainder of the 2021-2022 school year, replacing Patricia Sermas, who's retiring. Do you have any family or friends, cohorts, anybody with you?
Unfortunately, my parents couldn't be here today, but I do have my work family from
Awesome.
CHS.
Woohoo!
Fantastic. Well, we're extremely lucky to have you, and we're blessed that you're going to be working for us, so appreciate it.
Dr. Lee, you're going to do an outstanding job, but you're going to be missed tremendously at CTHS. Okay, moving on. Consideration and possible action to accept and adopt the superintendent's recommendation to propose the termination of the 2021-2022 term contract between Pasadena ISD and Christina Fell, teacher at May Smith Elementary. Suspend Ms. Fell without pay pending discharge and related actions.
Madam Vice President?
No, wait a minute.
Madam Vice President, I move to accept and adopt superintendent's recommendation to propose the termination of the 2021-2022 term contract between Pasadena ISD and Christina Fell, teacher at May Smith Elementary, and suspend Ms. Fell without pay pending discharge as presented and discussed in executive session, and further move to authorize and direct the superintendent or her designee to provide Ms. Fell with written notice of this board's actions as required by law.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Phelan, seconded by Ms. Sullivan. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Ayes have it, motion carries. Next is consideration and possible approval of amendment to superintendent's contract and related actions.
Madam President, I move that the board extend.
Pull your mic down.
Madam President, I move that the board extend the superintendent's contract for one additional contract year.
Second.
That was you?
Yes, ma'am.
Motion by Ms. Sullivan, seconded by Mr. Phelan. Any discussion?
Could we make it longer?
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Ayes have it, motion carries. We know we have a star. There's no doubt. And we're going to keep her as long as we can.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay, certified personnel, this is for information only, as well as support personnel is for information only. It's in your board book. Moving to the educational section, consideration and possible approval of the 2022-2023 amended and restated Region 4 Regional Day School Program for the Deaf Shared Services Arrangement Agreement.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Sullivan, seconded by Mr. Fernandez. Discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it, motion carries. I'm going to ask one more time that everyone vote orally on the motions because it is for recording. Next is consideration and possible. Next is consideration and possible approval of the 2021-2024 U.S. Department of Justice Community-Oriented Policing Services School Violence Prevention Program Grant Award in the amount of $500,000.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Sullivan, seconded by Ms. Fusilier, I'm sorry. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Ayes have it, motion carries. Next is consideration and possible approval of the 2021 Texas Department of Agriculture National School Lunch Program Equipment Assistance Grant Awards in the amount of $59,000.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Fernandez, seconded by Ms. Sullivan. Discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it, motion carries. Consideration and possible approval of the 2022 No Kid Hungry School Nutrition Grant Award in the amount of $19,000.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Sullivan, seconded by Ms. Fusilier. Discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Consideration and possible approval of the 2022-2023 State of Texas Office of the Governor, Public Safety Office Criminal Justice Grant Resolution. That's a mouthful.
Second.
Who was that? That was, okay, Fernandez. And Ms. Sullivan, was that you?
Yes.
Motion by Mr. Fernandez, seconded by Ms. Sullivan. Discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Consideration possible approval of the 2022 through 2024 Texas Education Agency COVID Learning Acceleration Supports Decision 11 High Quality After School Grant Award in the amount of $1,112,500.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Sullivan, seconded by Mr. Fernandez. Discussion?
I just want to say, board members, these were some of the schools that were turned down, Olivia, correct me if I'm wrong, for the ACE after-school grant, and so we're excited that they're being accepted for these opportunities, and I know the principals, some of them are here and very excited about it as well.
That's
awesome. So thank you to Olivia and her team, and to Special Programs as well, working on this.
Okay, any discussion from the group? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Ayes have it, motion carries. Next, consideration possible approval of the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality Supplemental Environmental Project Grant for up to $135,663.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Sullivan, seconded by Ms. Fusilier. Discussion?
So I know Robert's here, and I don't know if he wants to come forward and talk about, well, this is our second bus, is that right? You want to come up and just talk about where they get gassed up at? We've got a microphone on. You've been working a long day, so why don't you just come up here and talk? So you will.
Yeah, so this is an opportunity that we had kind of given to us. We've been looking at alternative fuel sources for buses just to kind of experiment with them. And the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality reached out to us for this particular grant, and this is for a CNG bus, which is compressed natural gas, and it's the normal cost of a bus is about $119,000 for one of our diesel buses. A CNG bus normally would cost about $159,000, and this will give us the opportunity to purchase it for roughly about $35,000, which
oh wow!
And it'll basically, we have to replace one of our older buses, so I think it's a 1997 bus that we're replacing. So this will have all the safety bells and whistles that we would need, and it makes it much safer, and it's much cleaner burning than the older diesel buses. Even though the regular diesel buses that we're getting now burn much cleaner than they used to, this will give us an opportunity to try out the technology and then have a brand new bus on the road that for a much cheaper price. So
that's awesome.
So and we're looking at possibly getting some more as well through grants. There are more and more of these grants that are coming up that we're going to keep trying to get as well.
That's awesome.
That was actually my question about how, about getting more of these buses, like how could you make that happen? So you answered that right there. But then also, obviously the price difference makes it difficult to get many more buses, right?
Yes.
So what would be a goal on, when you're saying the grants, what would be a goal? Just one more bus every so often?
Well, sometimes the grants will, there'll be an opportunity for more. We tried, Olivia and I have been trying for several years to try to get them, and we had tried for 3 before. I think we tried for 5 at one time, and then we got turned down, and so they actually reached out to us for this one. Olivia sent me some information the other day to possibly get us some more, maybe 3 to 5. Once we get to the point where, because of the way we fuel them, a CNG bus, we can't fuel on our property, so we go, there's a place over off of Old Galveston Road and the Beltway. It's Freedom CNG, so that's where we fuel we already have one of these buses in the fleet. We've had it for probably about 8 or 10 years or so. We've been fueling it over there. If we get to the point where we have too many of them, then we would probably have to work on getting more infrastructure to fuel on our property.
Okay, so. That makes, thank you so much.
How long does the fuel last?
It burns about like one of the diesel buses would. It's a little bit cheaper right now for CNG fuel. We're paying about $2.40 a gallon, whereas with diesel we're paying about $2.90 a gallon. But when we had during COVID when the cost of diesel was $1.88. It was much cheaper than the CNG, which was about that time, it was about $2.30 a gallon as well. So the price of CNG doesn't fluctuate as much as the price of diesel. I can't predict that for the future, so who knows? But that's kind of the way it's been so far. So.
Well, this would be an opportunity to tell you thanks for all that you do for our transportation department.
We do the best we can. I have good people working for me, and they work really hard every day. So, and they're very appreciative of what you guys do.
They have a great leader.
So, thank you.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Ayes have it, motion carries. I want to bring your attention to the student achievements. This is for information only, but it lists academic decathlon, the results for academic decathlon, as well as Region 19 intermediate and high school band members. And our kids are doing great things, not just occasionally, but every single day. Moving to the policy section, consideration and possible adoption of board resolution to convene the district school health advisory council, SHAC, to recommend curriculum materials for human sexuality instruction and prevention of child abuse, family violence, dating violence, and sex trafficking.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Fernandez, seconded by Ms. Sullivan. Discussion?
Dr. Park, can you elaborate on this?
So this is a new requirement. You can see that it came out of this most recent legislative session. So in the past, usually the SHAC committee, and Amber's here, so she can correct me where I messed this up at, but usually they would bring their recommendations forward and give a report. In this case, we're having to bring a resolution to tell you that the SHAC committee will be convening to discuss possible curriculums related to the areas that you have listed here. So then they will go forward now and have their meetings, and then they'll come back again and present to the board, correct?
Correct.
Oh, good. I didn't mess that up. There you go.
And you didn't have to come to the mic.
Okay, any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it, motion carries. Consideration and possible adoption of board resolution delegating authority to accept a contract employee's resignation.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Sullivan, seconded by Mr. Fernandez. Discussion?
So this is another new requirement. TASB came up with policy, so Jody, if you want to come up. She told me if I was incapacitated, and I was like, excuse me, I don't know what you're, am I getting old?
No. So what it is there was a recent commissioner decision that examined a resignation that was accepted based on the superintendent delegating the authority that the board had delegated to her, so, or him in that particular case. They were unavailable to accept it. They told someone else within their district to accept it. And ultimately, the commissioner said that the superintendent doesn't have the authority to make the delegation because only the board has the authority to delegate those individuals. And so in an effort to remedy that kind of situation in a large district where sometimes you have the need to immediately accept a resignation and your superintendent may or may not be immediately available to do that, TASB was recommending that districts adopt resolutions delegating that authority to additional administrators beyond only the superintendent. And so this resolution, we've limited that a little bit, right? So it would delegate that authority to the deputy superintendent and or the associate superintendent of human resources with the prior permission of the superintendent. Or, so for example, if superintendent was, leaving on a trip, while she's gone, she would have the ability to make that designation and give them that prior approval. Or, for example, if something were to happen or she had to have surgery and was unable to be present to do that.
But do they have to be present?
Does who have to be present?
The person that's designated to do this.
So someone would have to be available to accept a resignation.
Right, but not in person.
Yes.
We're not specifying a specific individual. We're designating the positions.
Okay, but if she's in Austin and she can be reached by phone, she can still approve that, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Fernandez, for asking that. Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Ayes have it, motion carries. Moving to the financial section, consideration and possible approval of budget amendments for November.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Sullivan, seconded by Mr. Fernandez. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Ayes have it, motion carries. Consideration and possible approval of the budget amendments for December.
So moved. Second.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Sullivan, seconded by Mr. Phelan. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Consideration and possible approval of annual comprehensive report for 2020-2021 school year. Presenter is Patrick Simmons from Whitley Penn. Patrick?
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Patrick Simmons. I am the representative from Whitley Penn. I was a senior manager on the engagement and an audit partner now. And I'm going to walk you through the results of the 2021 financial statement audit and the federal single audit. And am I driving this? But good to go. Thank you. So just a quick introduction to our team. So Gustavo Guzman was a senior associate on the job, so he really did a lot of the heavy lifting and was in the field and working through a lot of the test work with another one or two associates at a time. And then I was the senior manager on the engagement, and Selena Saraceras is a resource partner, and Lupe Garcia was the engagement partner, which you may be familiar with him from previous years. And then Tom Peterson functions as the concurring or EQCR partner, as a more of an independent party to take another look at the report. And then so the audit process really starts in the summertime, and so we do a risk assessment and we meet with all the different departments and we go through any areas that could be higher risk, and that's where we really focus our testing, and we build our tests for internal controls, so accounts payable, HR, payroll, property taxes, child nutrition. We do tested controls, and based on those results, it helps us design our tests in the substantive area, stop number 3, where that's when we come back after year end and the books are closed, and we look at the balances, and we actually substantiate a lot of those balances and verify that they are valid within a material amount. And then based on that, we issue an opinion on the financial statements. And there's 3 types of opinions we can provide, and all the way to the right is the one you want to achieve. It's the unmodified or clean opinion. And I'm happy to report that the opinion on the financial statements is an unmodified opinion, and so this provides a reasonable assurance that the amounts in the financial statements are materially correct and can be relied upon. So it's the highest level of assurance we can give on a set of financial statements. And then since the district does receive a significant amount of federal awards, we also do a report over internal control and compliance, and we didn't note any material weaknesses or internal control deficiencies in that report, and no instances of non-compliance material to the financial statements. For the federal single audit, we choose new programs every year. The way it's set up is we basically rotate programs every few years, and this year child nutrition was a major program along with Title IV Part B. And then basically all of the COVID-related funds, ESSER 1, 2, 3, PPRP, the bulk purchase program, so all of those were audited as major programs and more than likely will continue to in the future as they're deemed high risk by the federal government. And we did not note any internal control findings there either. There's an unmodified opinion on compliance. And then onto some high-level financial statement amounts. So the statement of net position, and I think, okay, statement of net position, that page number should be correct. So this financial statement here is based on the accrual basis of accounting, so it's going to include your long-term debt and your capital assets. So it's different from what you would budget on, but your total assets and deferred outflows was $1.5 billion, which was about the same as your total liabilities and deferred inflows. And then the difference between those is $73 million, so that's your net position. And so the capital assets really makes up the bulk of your assets at $972 million, and that's net of depreciation as well. And then cash and investments was $369 million. Your long-term debt, your bonds payable, was $769 million. And then the net pension and the net OPEB liabilities. So together, those are almost $400 million. Just keep in mind, those are determined by an actuary. And so it's really based on an estimate. It's nothing that you would turn around and pay out tomorrow or anything. It's based on an actuary and fluctuates each year. So it's somewhat outside of your control. In the general fund, this page number did change. So page 71, you're going to see the budget to actual comparison for the general fund. And so the total revenues were $540 million, which is about a $25 million increase from the previous year. And 55% of that is made up of state aid, 32% is property taxes, and then about 5% of state funding and 7% federal funds. And so the federal funds, there's a little bit more this year because it was reimbursing from prior year expenditures from the COVID funds came in late, of course, and so it reimbursed those prior year expenditures that were made in the general fund to recoup those costs. And then there's just some other local funds in there. And then the next slide shows the general fund expenditures. So total expenditures of about $535 million, which was a $20 million increase from the prior year. 63% is made up of instruction and related services, and then the next largest category would be 11% for the facilities maintenance operations, instructional and school leadership 9%, and then student support services 5%. And so that shows you, the bulk of the money is being spent on the students where it needs to be. And then the other category of 12% breaks down some of the other areas, which are also spent on students, but just make up a smaller amount. But like transportation is 3%. And general administration is 3% as well. And then the final results for the budget to actual, so revenues were more than budgeted amounts by 18 million. Expenditures were less than budgeted amounts by 34 million. The transfers in were less than budgeted amounts, but your total fund balance decreased by 20 million, and the reason for that is really the transfer to the capital projects fund of 27 million. So if you took that out, the revenues were more than expenditures by about almost 7 million. And your unassigned, and then your fund balance is 165 million. Part of that is made up of a non-spendable amount of 9 million, which is inventory and prepaids. And then you've committed $10 million in fund balance, and then there's 10 million that's also assigned. And then your unassigned is 136 million. So this slide will show you a representation based on the district's minimum fund balance policy. So the 12.5% is the district policy as a minimum, I believe, and that is at 66.9 million. So the middle is where you stand as of August 31st, 2021. So that's $136 million or 25% fund balance. And then so that's about 93 days of operating expenditures. So if all revenue ceased to exist, you could still operate for a quarter of the year or 93 days. And then the child nutrition and the debt service funds. So the revenue, there was revenues of 27 million in the child nutrition funds, just a little bit less of expenditures. And so the fund balance increased by about $1 million and to $1.2 million. And this fund isn't meant to gain fund balance. So there's always a plan to spend down that fund balance, keep it at the right level it needs to be. And then your debt service fund, it increased by $3.7 million. And then the ending fund balance was $33.3 million. And then some required communication. So we do evaluate the accounting policies and determine that they are consistent and in accordance with industry standards. There's estimates that go into the financial statements, such as state aid, revenues and receivables, property tax allowance. The useful lives of capital assets is probably the most significant, and then the net pension and OPEB liability as well, which we discussed earlier. And we determined all of those were consistent with industry standards in previous years. And then we did not encounter any difficulties in performing the audit. There were no material misstatements identified by us to bring to management's for correction. So that's always a good sign that when we get the financial statements, they're not going to be 100% accurate, but they were within a material amount. So there were no material adjustments made, and then there were no disagreements with management. And the last few, we'll request a management representation letter, which basically says that the district did disclose all matters to us that we needed to develop this opinion. We're not aware of any other consultations with other accountants, and there were no issues discussed with us to where our response meant that you would want to keep us as auditors or kick us out. So, all right, I think that's it. All right, and I'd be happy to take any questions.
Any questions? Mr. Simmons, you did an outstanding job. Thank you for walking us through that difficult. When we got the bigger book, I tried going through it and I thought, you made it much simpler. Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome. It's only about 200 pages, so a page a day maybe.
Anybody have any questions?
What is OPEB?
Other post-employment benefits. So that's there's the pension plan, and then there's TRS care, which is the retirement health care.
Ms. Sullivan, make a motion.
I move that we accept the presentation on our finances as presented.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Sullivan, seconded by Mr. Fernandez. Have no discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Ayes have it, motion carries. Consideration and possible approval of amendment number 3 for the district's current master gas services contract with the General Land Office, GLOW.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Fernandez, seconded by Ms. Sullivan. Discussion?
So, I don't know, Kevin, you're here. If you want to come up and just talk about the contract being extended and what rate we're at.
We've had a contract with Texas General Land Office since 2016, so this is just an amendment to extend that contract 2 more years. No change in the rate, which is 44 cents per MMBTU plus the Houston Ship Channel Index. So that rate for Texas General Land Office has been consistent. It's the Houston Ship Channel Index that fluctuates.
Thank you, Kevin.
I have a question. Could you explain what it means that it goes into the permanent school fund? This is my first time hearing this.
Yes. It's a state entity, so we kind of reap the benefits of the economy of scale that the state gets for purchasing their natural gas. Okay. So those are the benefits, and because it's a state agency, it goes back into 100% of it goes back into the school funds.
Okay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Other questions? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Ayes have it, motion carries. Consideration and possible approval of the design services agreement to Solace O'Brien Engineers for the HVAC Group 1 project in the amount of $176,000 and a total project budget of $2,771,000.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Sullivan, seconded by Ms. Fusilier. Discussion?
I see some of these principals here. They're ready to cheer. Go
How
ahead.
soon can he get started on all of this?
How soon, Kevin, can we start?
We're actually taking bids in 2 weeks. So we're targeting doing most of the work in the summer, but I don't think we'll be able to get it all done during the summer, so we'll have to continue that on. But yeah, we're excited to get this out and bid.
Great, thank you.
Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Ayes have it, motion carries. Consideration and possible approval of the design services agreement to Solis O'Brien Engineers for the Building Management Control System, BMCS, upgrades Group 1 project in the amount of $132,000 and a total project budget of $3,232,000.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Sullivan, seconded by Mr. Fernandez. Discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Ayes have it, motion carries. Consideration and possible approval of allowance expenditure authorization at AEA number 002 for the new administration building replacement project in the amount of $505,000.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Sullivan, seconded by Mr. Fernandez. Discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Ayes have it, motion carries. Consideration and possible approval of allowance expenditure AEA number 003 for the new administration building replacement project in the amount of $129,401.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Fernandez, seconded by Ms. Sullivan. Discussion?
Dr. Pound?
Yes.
Did the sewer piping and grading and the site work create delays in the building?
I think permitting was our biggest delay, so I would have to say no. They've been pretty steady over there, and now that all permitting is cleared up, you'll see a lot more acceleration. All of these are just changes that are within the budget, but definitely they're making a lot of progress, correct, Kevin?
This didn't create any issues in the plans as approved previously for the building, did it, Kevin?
It was a change. The city, during the permitting phase, did make some revisions and added some additional detention, just expanding some of the ponds that we already had. So that's what that second change is. Those are per the city review comments.
But they didn't have anything to do with the building sitting on the site per se?
No.
Thank you.
Other questions? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Ayes have it, motion carries. Consideration and possible approval of allowance expenditure authorization AEA number 009 for the new maintenance, operations, and warehouse facility project in the amount of $313,181.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Sullivan, seconded by Mr. Fernandez. Discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Ayes have it, motion carries. Consideration and possible approval of allowance expenditure authorization AEA number 010 for the new maintenance, operations, and warehouse facility project in the amount of $86,061.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Sullivan, seconded by Mr. Fernandez. Discussion?
I have one question.
Go ahead.
Kevin, is this just an increase in the price in these doors because of so much of the increase in building materials?
Directly related to the steel. Those are coiling doors made out of steel. Yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Ayes have it, motion carries. Item number 8 is being pulled, so we move to the construction update. Does anyone have any questions on the construction update? Hearing none, we're going to move to the public comments according to BED Local related to topics not listed on the agenda. and I am going to read this. We ask that all speakers refrain from using profane or vulgar language. Complaints about an individual student and/or employee should seek resolution through the district's grievance process outlined in the applicable Pasadena ISD Board Policy DGBA, FNG, or GF. Along those lines, we ask that speakers respect the privacy rights of others and in doing so refrain from naming employees and/or students during the public portion of the agenda. Titles may be used instead. Remember that the admonition goes for positive or negative comments. The instructions need to be viewpoint neutral. Each person will be limited to a maximum of 3 minutes. And at this time, we have Ms. Yen Rabe, who has signed up to speak. Mr. Fernandez will be keeping time and will indicate when you have 1 minute left.
Your time has started now.
Thank you. Good evening, board members and Superintendent Powell. My name is Yen Rabe, and I'm an educator and a concerned citizen. A Pasadena High School student is concerned about the number of COVID cases at Pasadena High School. They would like to know if the district is planning on closing schools because of the COVID cases, and they wanted a definite answer. That's why they wanted to hear it from the school board. If the district does not plan on closing schools, what is the plan of action to deal with COVID cases at Pasadena High School? The student is very concerned because they have an underlying medical condition. Thank you.
As I shared with and this is just for you board members, I shared earlier, we had 80 cases yesterday, which was extremely low. We know that we're dealing with a new variant.
And that's district-wide.
That was district-wide, 80 cases district-wide out of 50,000 students and 8,000 employees. We encourage that student to come talk to April Wisedale or anyone here at the administration building, because right now, based on what we're doing, the stats are speaking for themselves. We can't stop. We don't have full control over what goes on outside of school, but we're doing everything we can inside of school.
Thank you, Dr. Powell. We're going to set the date for the next regular meeting, and it's suggested Tuesday, February 22nd, 2022.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Fernandez, seconded by Ms. Fusilier. Too many Fs. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Then the next regular meeting will be Tuesday, February 22nd, 2022. At this time, there's no further business to come before this board, and I declare this meeting adjourned.